Now, you've probably heard the theory that Jar Jar Binks is secretly a Sith Lord. And when you hear that, I mean, your immediate reaction is probably like, no. But it gets you to think about the character and seeing things that you normally wouldn't see. And you can realize that Jar Jar Binks is not a Sith Lord, obviously, but it's a really fun story idea, right? Now, we can all agree Jar Jar Binks is not a Sith Lord, obviously. But with that being said, it's a fun idea to think about. It's a fun idea to speculate about. It's a fun, non-canon, obviously insane headcanon that everyone can just kind of chuckle at. However, when I do the same thing, I'm met with flying tomatoes more often than not. I'm going to be relatively brief with this opening segment, but my channel is for entertainment purposes. I think throughout my life, I've been pretty good at telling stories where there is none in the first place. Headcanons, if you will. My videos are my stories, my headcanons, and my theories. And I'm not saying it's fact. Maybe in the past, I've not been that clear about that, and I apologize for that. That's my bad. But much more recently, I've seen niches, is that the right word? Niches of people who've been just dragging my name through the mud. Because I'll propose these stories, these ideas, these theories, these headcanons, things that I know are crazy, and believing that, like, I'm just crazy, or I'm a bad un. Whenever I propose my theories or headcanons, I'm not saying that if you disagree, you're a bad person. I'm not saying that you cannot disagree. Obviously, most of my shit you can disagree with. Duh. But people have to understand that the vast majority of things that I put forward are just fun ideas. Fun ideas that aren't meant to be taken seriously. But as time goes on, it seems like more and more people are trying to vilify me. Like, fellas, I don't actually think Celestia is evil. Within canon, I don't think that they're trying to make the story that Cadence is a reincarnation of Amor. And believe it or not, I don't actually think Cozy Glow is 100% innocent. I will admit, some of the blame is on me because of the hyper-excitable way I present these theories. But some of the blame is also on people who take my videos and present it as if I'm trying to make some ulterior evil motive. I'm not. I'm just a dumbass. I run an MLP YouTube channel. What ulterior motives could I possibly have? Seriously, it's not that deep. Like, when MatPat made his first FNAF 1 theory, do you think he actually genuinely believes that FNAF 1 is based off of a 1993 killing spree in a Chuck E. Cheese? Like, so going forth, I'm going to be much more clear when I'm presenting factual information, like my Scootaloo video, or when I'm trying to tell a story, like my 3 Twilights video. But I still concur that some people, especially older members of the fandom who's been around a long time, just seem to think that I'm, like, back here, like, rubbing my hands together evilly, right? So with that out of the way, it is time to present my absolute favorite headcanons. Well, actually, no, not headcanons, What I meant to say was, headcanons that probably aren't true, not meant to be taken seriously, but are still fun to think about. That's right, we're jumping right into this as if I didn't spend a quarter of the video explaining my grievances with people who don't seem to understand that what I'm saying is a headcanon, that you're allowed to disagree, and I'm not some evil monster. The first one that shows up is actually an older headcanon, one that I've actually explained about, I think, twice on this channel before, I think. Maybe 3 times now that I really think about it. The most recent one that I did was my Scootaloo video, but I think I might have had 2 earlier ones where I talked about this. I can't remember that well. Anyway, the theory goes, am I even allowed to say theory anymore? I feel like I shouldn't say theory, because people are gonna be like, look, he said theory, he's trying to convince people. No. The idea is that in the world of FIM, birth defects can happen. And in the show, we actually see quite a few of them throughout its 9-season run. In my Alicorns video, I specifically highlighted the animation era Alicorns, aka the ponies in the show who appear as Alicorns, but really quite obviously aren't meant to be Alicorns, right? They're most likely, actually not most likely, they probably absolutely are errors or accidents made by the staff who didn't think that hard about giving a character both horns and a wing, right? But nay I say, what if those ponies are actually errors and are actually ponies born with birth defects? Sometimes when a pony is born, genes can go a little screwy and accidentally give a Pegasus a horn or a unicorn wings. A Pegasus born with a horn is not an Alicorn. They're still a Pegasus. They can't use their horn. And same way the other way around. If a unicorn is born with wings, they can't fly. They can only use their horn because they're a unicorn with wings, not the other way around. Or not an Alicorn. But who's to say that this kind of defect only appears in ponies with horns or wings? What if there was an Earth pony who was born with wings? Introducing Scootaloo. Now, this is what I mean by one of my headcanons that shouldn't be taken seriously, right? Because you hear that, and obviously your mind is immediately like, well, Scootaloo can walk on clouds, so that's not right. And yeah, it's not right, but it's a fun idea to think about. What if Scootaloo was an Earth pony born with wings? Now go write your fanfics or whatever, I don't care. But it would be a really cool explanation as to why she can't fly. Because she's an Earth pony with wings. That's fun to think about. Anyways, that's one of my absolute favorite headcanons, and one's been on the channel, I guess 3 times now, 4 if you include this video. Well, let's get to some headcanons that have not actually been on this channel before, starting with... Do you guys hear something?
The end is nigh. You heard it here first. Equestria is on a dying planet. Equestria is run on superficiality, aka ponies control the planet's natural systems. Pegasi control the weather, Celestia raises and lowers the sun, ponies control the seasons basically. There is almost no force of nature in the land of Equestria except for ponies aren't populated, like the Everfree Forest. In many places across Equestria that are either isolated or have no pony living there, it is almost completely unlivable. Did you ever wonder why Equestria has so many deserts, tundras, barren wastelands with nothing in it except skulls? This is all across Equestria, outside of the main chunk of land we see in the show. Even the Crystal Empire is in a bubble of controlled weather, with nothing but miles of snowy tundra surrounding it. The only inhabitants of these lands are creatures who either can or have adapted to these conditions. Dragons, for example, have scales that allow them to withstand lava in the Dragonlands. In the yaks of Yakistan have thick fur in order to withstand the extremely cold temperatures. For everyone else, like the creatures of Klugetown, like Capper, they are scavengers, having to make do with whatever they have. Much like how us humans, or I guess CHCD, will die without the pollination from bees, the planet Equestria is on would be inhabitable to ponies if Celestia didn't control the sun and if Pegasi didn't manipulate the weather. Perhaps then it makes sense as to why the sun and moon move by themselves in G5, as Twilight, knowing that her power can be taken away by some villain, set up the sun and moon to move by themselves, so that it ever came down to her versus some creature, at least Equestria wouldn't turn into a barren wasteland. Speaking of G5, Sunny walks across the entire country and back in about 2 days. If we were to assume Sunny was walking non-stop at the average pace of a human person who walks about 50 miles in 24 hours, that means G5's Equestria is about the size of Santa Clarita to Long Beach, California, which isn't big at all. This just shows how little livable space the ponies of Equestria have. All of this to say, prepare your doomsday bunkers, grab as many gelatinous meat cans as possible, and hunker down. The end of the world is nigh. The end of the world.
Oh. I guess I'm here now. I actually want to slightly expand on one of May's sections by adding my own headcanon. That MLP actually takes place at the end of a dying universe. Equestria isn't habitable anymore. The only thing that's making it oh my god. The only thing that's making it habitable is Celestia and Luna raising and lowering their satellites in order to keep it going. The star that was once warming the planet had died a very, very long time ago, and the ponies manufactured an artificial sun in order to keep Equestria warm and nice. Equestria is completely alone in the universe and is one of the last bastions of life. That once again recontextualizes villains like the Storm King. He isn't just threatening Equestria to rule it, he's threatening the last life in the known universe. Another really fun headcanon to look back on is what kind of government does Equestria run on? That sounds like I'm trying to phrase it like it's an operating system. Well, the US runs on Linux. No. A decently long time ago, I tried to make a video explaining what kind of government Equestria was. And after debating with some people, I quite quickly realized that there's no real human counterpart. The Equestrian government makes sense in some ways. It's not like some illogical thing that will never be explained in the show. To some extent, it makes sense. But it's also not exactly democratic. It's not exactly dictatorial or monarchic. Monarchic? That's definitely a word. They still hold elections, just in cities and towns, and not for the ruler of their country. But Celestia, or rather the currently ruling Alicorn, holds all power like a dictatorship. Or at least that's what it seems like through the show. It might not be that way, but who's counting, am I right? So what exactly is Equestria if it's not a monarch, not a democracy, not a dictatorship? Well, like I said, I debated with some people, and the best idea we came up with is that Equestria is a socialist diarchy that sometimes ran as a monarchy when it needed to be. In the official MLP D&D book, and yes, that is a real thing I just said, it outright says that ponies don't really have to worry about money. Because, and I directly quote right from the book, Pony Society makes sure everybody has a place to live, plenty to eat, and that in general, everybody is cared for. Plus the fact that ponies don't have jobs because they need the money, they have jobs because they enjoy the work. If that isn't literally socialism, then I don't know what is. It is by definition, presumably the government providing for people who don't exactly can work. Or they can work, I didn't say that right. Who might have special talents that aren't exactly known for giving money. Like bowling, for instance. How the hell are you gonna have a job on bowling, right? And I say that sometimes it's a diarchy that's sometimes a monarchy because in my head, the Equestrian government was set up to rule with two immortal alicorn rulers, Celestia and Luna. But, you know, Celestia and Luna had a little bit of a fallout, but it was fine for at least 100 years. Depending on how old you think Celestia and Luna are, the diarchy worked for like 100 years before Luna was banished. It was only after Celestia banished Luna that it turned into a single alicorn ruling system. And the reason why I'm so hesitant to call it a dictatorship is because Celestia seems like unironically a pretty good ruler. Now, I know before you tell me that being a dictatorship doesn't mean that they're a bad ruler, but she seems really willing and able to give up that power to other alicorns like Luna, Cadence, and even Twilight eventually. And yes, I know I like to give Celestia a lot of flack for treating Sunset and Twilight like utter dog shit, but honestly, she ruled Equestria for literally 1,000 years, a millennium, without any issues whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure in official MLP lore, they call the 1,000 years Celestia ruled as like peace, the big peace era, 1,000 years of peace, because it was so peaceful while she was solo ruling. So to end all of this, what exactly is Equestria's government? And for that, I'm sorry to say, but you're gonna be quite disappointed. There is no real answer. There's no human counterpart. We don't have governments set up in place in case the ruler is an immortal god who will literally never die and is also really good at ruling so they can have a full say of everything anytime they want. I guess that's a dictatorship, so if you want to go there, Equestria is a socialist dictatorship that's sometimes a diarchy dictatorship. I don't know, man. Anyways, that's about it for my favorite headcanons. I kind of have to get back to my set and take it back from May, so we'll go do that real quick. How do I exactly get out of here?
The world is going to end in 14 days and 14 minutes!
It's time for your eviction notice.
You're going down with me!
I bite at the hand that feeds me, slap at the face that eats me. Some kind of animal cannibal made impressions on me.